This episode of Small Business Big Conversations is brought to you with generous support from Impressia Bank and Erie Bank. In 2017, while living in the United Arab Emirates, Brian Wholehan noticed a prevalent design trend: exposed light bulbs. This sparked the idea for EZ Shade, a clever and simple solution to shield those naked bulbs without the need for tools or complex installations. After a year of tinkering and sketching, Brian secured a patent for the EZ Shade bracket in 2019. Since then, EZ Shade has grown, selling on Amazon, HomeDepot.com, Walmart.com, EZ Shade's website, and recently rolled out at 500 Lowe's stores nationwide and on Lowe's.com. The company has seen steady growth and continues to aim higher with strategic exposure and marketing. On this episode of Small Business Big Conversations, Brian Wholehan of EZ Shade. Brian, great to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Small Business Big Conversations. Some of the video in that intro was from my basement, and some of the EZ Shades that are actually hanging there. I don't want to call it simple. I mean, it is simple.
That's
it's
fine.
Easy as in the name, right? But it's a clip and it's a cover. Until you made this, everybody's light bulbs were just kind of, especially like in basements and things like that, where you have those exposed cans, were just hanging out. The balls were just blinding everybody when they came down the stairs. So, like, how did you get the idea for this, and when did you decide, and how did you decide, like, this is something that I want to produce, and we want to get it on store shelves?
Well, again, I think I dealt with it too until I moved overseas. I was living overseas, and I was in Abu Dhabi, believe it or not. And you see all those beautiful high rises in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And the residential ones actually have, a majority of them have just exposed light bulbs like we have in the closet, basement, or garage here. And I moved into this one gorgeous apartment, like 40th floor, overlooks the ocean. And then there's 10 exposed light bulbs. And there's one that was in the shower, which I was like, that can't be code. And then I'm not a morning person. So I tried finding something that would just clip on, a simple, easy solution where I didn't have to take all the existing fixtures out, redo any wiring, or hire anybody. And I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
So it led to a napkin drawing with a friend at a bar, and I pulled the trigger on it. I came up with this.
So how would you describe the product itself, like if in an elevator pitch, and you're in the elevator going up to the 40th floor of that apartment building, and you're telling somebody about it, what would you say?
You got $20 and an exposed light bulb or light that's bothering you somewhere. EZ Shade's a simple fix. Clips right on. 1, 2, 3. Just snap the bracket around the bulb or existing fixture, and the light shade clips in. They're $18.95, and they won't break. They won't discolor, and it makes your place look a little more elegant. So that's the elevator pitch.
I love it.
30 seconds.
It makes sense to me. It's like you can picture
60
without
seconds
seeing
is too long.
without seeing the box here. I mean, it's even easy to envision. You built this thing from the ground up. You talked about you had the napkin idea, into the product, into manufacturing, onto store shelves, and we'll get into the process of all that in a minute, and any hoops that you had through and that sort of thing. But I'm just wondering, first of all the things that you don't know, a lot of entrepreneurs will say you don't know what you don't know. Of all the things that you didn't know, what were some of the biggest challenges, some of the unexpected challenges of napkin to fruition?
I mean, there's so many, but I'd say the biggest one that's hung me up multiple times is barcoding.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that, actually, so
yeah,
that's great.
We can hold off on that.
No, go for it.
That understanding barcoding, for one. So, I mean, when this started, I was a special needs teacher, right? So, I mean, I didn't know anything about manufacturing or the whole process. I thought, like, when you owned a barcode, you had like all these numbers, and it's obviously now I know it's one number.
Yeah.
But then you need to have that. It needs to go through specifically through GS1, which is like the legit one. Okay. No one else. So if you're out there, don't go with anything other than GS1. And even in there, I still made a mistake. Because then you have master barcodes. where they have offers. Okay, you can buy one, or you can buy a pack of 10. I'm like, well, I don't need a pack of 10. Well, it turns out if you don't buy that pack of 10, then you can't get what's called a GS1 company prefix, which tags onto what's called a master carton barcode, which is different than.
I feel like we need graphics
oh
right
my
now
God. It's a Venn
explain all
diagram.
this.
Can we get a green screen?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And even then you have case packing. So there's the actual UPC for your product. Then there's a case pack, which, okay, I put 4 in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And then that box goes into a bigger box, which then becomes the master carton one, which then those can even have outer labels. So for my one product, I now have, I think, 6 different barcodes.
And those are used in different phases, of retail, right? It gets scanned in to on the pallet or whatever, into the back of Home Depot or something, and then they take them out, and then it gets scanned at the point of sale and that sort of thing.
There's all these different, all these different steps.
Yeah.
But it'll save you a lot of money. Go through GS1. They're actually really helpful. Watch the videos. Call customer support.
So I'm
not
noticing
a commercial for them, but they have been so helpful.
I'm looking at this box right now,
and there's a sticker.
It looks like there's a sticker.
Yes, there is.
Where the barcode is, but it's not the barcode on the box. Why is there a sticker there?
So believe it or not, this happens a lot apparently in industry. There's UPC mess ups. There's barcode misprints, stuff like that. So I ended up. I ran into a problem. I called GS1. They're like, oh yeah, you were sold a bad barcode. It belongs to somebody else. Here's your new one. Here's what should have been issued. You got basically resold something, right? And that's what happens out there. There's other untrustworthy people out there, right? So they helped me out, but this happened right when I was about to ship out a Lowe's order of 9,000 units. So the other thing I started learning is that you needed it in 2 spots because now we're going to robots and things, right? So it needs to be scanned in any place. However the box is positioned, that barcode needs to be accessible. So at least 2 places on the box now. So I called this company, and they're like, oh, yeah, you need a UPC label cover-up. No problem. So I had to order 20,000 stickers because it's in 2 spots, 10,000 boxes. Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah.
What was the original? Do you remember what the original thing was being scanned up?
No, and then I think there's even another mess up somehow, and now we're on to the next one. Yeah. It's do your homework on UPCs.
So other than your barcodes, I'm sure there's a lot of other preparation that goes into graphic design for the box, and
this is 3.0, I think.
Negotiating, and I'm just making things up. So if these aren't things that exist, tell me. But like negotiating shelf placement and in retailers or things like that, or even knowing where something like this, what aisle it's going to be in, and what other things you're kind of going to be against. So what are some of the other hoops that you have to jump through to get into major big box retailers like that, or things that you have to think about?
Sure. So to get into major retail, you need to be what's referred to as retail shelf ready. So again, having a retail box, a graphic box, which it sells the product from the shelf, right? You want people have attention span, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? That's all you get. You need to grab them. Unless they're coming to look for it specifically, like M&Ms, they don't need to. They could just have literally the 2 M's on there anymore. They don't need, right? They've done a good job, but you need to be retail ready. Have those UPCs on there. The copyright information. You need to have what's called product descriptors, which is what is selling this product and why should people buy it. And any claims that you have, you also have to have those backed up. So if even for where I say made in America, I've got that on here. I had to actually then ship this product to a place in Arkansas, and then I had to physically write a letter on company letterhead, which sounds funny because again, it's something I just made up on Word, right? I just took my logo and I have company letterhead now. That's another thing. You need to have those things on there and be able to back them up. Yeah, those are the important things, and then have almost product testing done, especially depending on what components you might have in there. Luckily, I don't have any electrical components with mine, so the product testing was very simple. But I'm making claims on there. I made claims that it is heat resistant, it won't discolor, and it is impact resistant. When a retailer sees that, they don't want to be held responsible.
Right.
So you need to be able to provide that documentation backing up any of those claims. So
and is that something that you have to, again, send it to a third party to confirm? So you ship it off somewhere and somebody whacks it with a hammer and they're like, okay, impact resistant, send it back?
Basically, yeah. Yes, that and the other thing is wherever you're having manufactured. So I went back to the companies that are manufacture this for me, and I needed those scientific documents that really spell out all of the details of the plastic, what it's made of, the things that are in it, the type of metal, what's that metal graded for, and things like that. So.
And then you mentioned this is box version 3.
3, maybe 4.
What were some of the changes, and how did you know that you should make changes to previous designs?
So the first box was literally just like white corrugate, and it just had a black label on it with said EZ Shade. That was round 1. Round 2 looked a little prettier, but it opened from the top, but the box was too flimsy. But that worked for the time. Version 3 was a sleeve. That didn't work. And then this box probably had 3 or 4 iterations of itself before we landed on, okay, go to print. And just in terms of where you're moving graphics and how they're going to be, like, we kind of went with this across the top.
Okay.
And then realized, okay, we kind of looked a little better here. And then moving these graphics around. And it's so funny how you get into just little stuff like that. And
all just trial and error, but also understanding, like, how people are perceiving it. And, and what's
there's oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name now. She's one of my favorite people. Who invented Spanx? Sarah?
I don't know if our production team is going to help you with
I know her husband's Jesse. But anyway,
we'll overlay the title right here.
Yeah, we'll put it.
So when we get
there's a great picture of her. She's like lying on this floor, and she's got, I think, like 60 of her like cover things, that how she was going to make that logo.
Okay.
And she's sitting there just like, it's little minor things, like, just again, that's what it comes down to sometimes.
Well, and you mentioned a lot of the different things about the claims that you made and that sort of thing on that package. One of them is made in the USA, and it's kind of a big point of pride for you, I think, that not only is it made in the USA, but anchored in Ohio with a lot of the things that you're doing. We're going to talk about that right after this break, so stick around for more Small Business Big Conversations. We'll be right back.
We're a community bank in every sense of the word, but we have the power behind us to serve everyone just as a very large international bank would. But we have the people to provide the one-on-one service, and we cut through the bureaucracy. We focus on speed to market. We focus on high level of service to everyone. That's the type of bank we are. We are passionate about being a good citizens, but adding value in our communities. We want everybody to get a taste of who we are as a bank, and we have something for everyone.
We are back on Small Business Big Conversations with Brian Wholehan of EZ Shade. Sarah Blakely, by the way.
That was it.
Actually, you told me in the break, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but now we know. So, Brian, I know that you chose to anchor EZ Shade's production, packaging, distribution, kind of all that here in Ohio. First of all, why Ohio, other than being here yourself? And then maybe talk about some local resources between Toledo and Cleveland and beyond that have kind of helped support your business as well.
So for me, and I think big thing, we can get it done in the U.S. There's certain things, okay, especially on volume-wise. Again, you go overseas, look, if it's going to cut your cost 50%, that's kind of hard to walk away from. I get that bottom line on the dollar, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff, by the time you get back in with import fees and export fees, and not to mention quality control or being able to control quantity when you need it, and timing, you can get it done in the U.S. And there's so many people, especially in the Rust Belt area, between basically Chicago, to Pittsburgh. They can do. There's a lot of places that can do prototyping. There's places that do 3D printing. There's places that do boxes, plastics. I mean, you just wouldn't believe the industry that's going on around here. And I think the biggest thing for me was to be able to control that aspect of the business. The companies I work with, I mean, also because they're local, you build a relationship with these people rather than somebody overseas that you're communicating with via email, or the phone. They allow me, I'm not saying they're going to do this for everybody, but a lot of basic on-time or just-in-time manufacturing. So I say, hey, look, I need 10,000 units. They'll get them to me, and they'll get them to me quick.
Yeah.
Or they'll hold on to material for me, because again, we have that relationship because they're local. They'll put stuff on the shelf or manufacture it, and then they're basically taking on that risk that it's there until I'm ready to pull it, and then they'll invoice me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of huge. That's a huge weight off my shoulders financially when I'm trying to build this business and kind of watch those dollars.
So I know, especially in this space, a lot of people might have that napkin idea, but they'll get a little bit of like uncertainty paralysis because they don't know where to find somebody to do prototyping or how to get in touch with manufacturers in plastics or metal manufacturers or that sort of thing. How did you figure out where to go first and navigate that and find these distributors and manufacturers that you're working with now?
So one of the biggest parts of my personality is probably tenacity.
Okay.
So it was a lot of research, looking up stuff, looking up again, and then literally driving around, visiting the factories and talking to them. Hey, bringing my idea. Is this something you'd be willing to do or help me with?
Yeah.
Some places, get out. No, we're not doing small stuff, right? We're happy doing our contracts we have type things, and which is also how I found what's going on around town. I'm like, holy crap, they're making that.
Yeah.
There's this little place like in Toledo, and he's the guy that makes the little Mustang at the bottom of the Mustang, the little plastic, the little horse.
Yeah.
He's just stamping them out in his little factory. I'm like, okay, he's got that contract. That's amazing. You'd never know. But another thing I did was I looked up the Center for Family Business through the university in Toledo, and joined one of those where they have like these affinity groups. And I said, look, I'm building this business. It'd be nice who do you have in your book? Because they've got kind of a list of all the people, again, local businesses. They're not corporate, not things like that, but they're all local businesses.
Yeah.
They said, here's a list of what you need, or maybe here's some options for the plastics. Here's option for this, and just called them up and kind of talked to them. That was one of the ways I did it. So
I love that I really focus. You're helping local business essentially because you're ordering from them and that sort of thing. What kind of impact do you think that has when you keep everything in the community like that?
I think it has a big impact. So when somebody buys EZ Shade, you're basically supporting 4 companies. Me, and then Bacillus, who does the shade, Lockery, that does the bracket. Actually, a company out here in Cleveland, Shelby, they make the box. And then Lot Industries, actually, it's the Center for Disabilities, because again, my background with special needs. They employ those who have physical and mental disabilities that can't get vocational work otherwise.
That's great.
I don't want to call it mundane tasks, but repetitious kind of tasks, the jobs that are really good for that community. And they do all of our packaging and assembly as well. And they did all the 20,000 barcode cover-ups.
Do you go back to them? Do you go back to them when it's all done and packaged up and everything, and like show them
they do
what
it.
they had a hand in making?
That's what they do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So everything gets shipped to them, and they put it all together.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So they're literally touching everything before it goes out to the shelves, and there's some satisfaction in that.
Absolutely. They're even bending the final step on the bracket. They do that bend. There's a little machine.
Okay.
They bend that, put it in. Yeah.
That's great.
And then fix all my mistakes.
Talk about some of those other mistakes. Like, I mean, every entrepreneur has like these challenges. You mentioned the barcodes. What are some other things where you were like along the journey kind of hung up that maybe other people could avoid doing what you did if there were things along the way?
Inventory management is one. Just knowing, okay, how many brown boxes I have of this size, brown boxes of that size. You got to keep all that somewhere.
Yeah.
So again, the shelf, just them helping me keep it somewhere, shelve it, keep it organized, know what I have. They've helped me get free barcode stuff for Amazon. They've helped me learn what bills of lading were. Right? Yeah. They helped me figure that out. They gave me templates. They've gotten me through. They've got me through some jams and timing stuff too, where all of a sudden sales really started taking off for me, and all of a sudden I was out of inventory, and so they jumped right on it. And they're putting it together for me and figuring out how to assemble faster, things like that. So
flip side of that, what have been some of the most rewarding things? Some of the things you're most proud of along the way?
I think, again, keeping it local, keeping it done here. I started this overseas and bringing it back to the U.S., being able to bring a product back into the U.S. and manufacture it, I think is a big thing. Supporting, again, the local community, local businesses, working with these people, building the friendships with them, continuing with my background of special needs, working with that community still is largely important to me in supporting that community. They do a great job. Some of the coolest things though too is like I said, the relationships I've been able to develop with the manufacturers. The one company, I had to figure out, I was bending all these brackets by hand with this little jig that I built. So probably bent like 10,000 brackets over the course of the years I've been doing this. They basically, I don't know. I played with Legos. They clearly played with Connects as kids, right? Big difference. That's where you start separating, right? The way their brain works and mine. And they Frankenstein this machine thing that's got all these wires and air pistons, and it's so cool to me. And like the bracket drops down, and then like these parts move and just literally bend, and it comes out with like all the bends in it that it needs except the last one. So yeah, I mean, just stuff like that, to see a machine custom built for a product that it was in your head.
Yeah.
And somebody else helped you get through that.
That's got to be when you're watching that and you're saying, okay, this came from the sketch and now it's being pressed like this. When did you like really know, like, all right, we've got something here?
I think when this is a good question. When was that kind of aha moment? I think when I broke $5,000 in sales. That's it, right? But I wasn't doing any advertising or marketing. I wasn't pushing it. People were just kind of looking for something, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, the money. This is kind of this is happening. And it's growing and growing and growing. And then we broke $10,000 a month, and then it was $15,000. So
where were you selling when you were just $5K, $10K? Was it just on a website or?
I have my own website. I was on Etsy.
Okay. Hey, if you're bending the clips, that's crafty. That's crafty, right?
They tried kicking me off, actually. I got kicked off for a month, and I had to argue. I'm like, no, I'm bending these by hand. So damn it, you're keeping me on. I need this money. So yeah, it's still bent by hand, Etsy. Don't forget. But what was I saying? So we were on Amazon, but again, I didn't realize the difference then that becomes Amazon and then an Amazon business account, which you can fulfill your own as a merchant. And then what really launched this was going to FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. We're sending pallets, which again, Lot helped me out and figure out how does that work? I don't know how palleting works, and you got to wrap this stuff and you got to pallet label, right? So they helped me out with all of that. But that's really because then Amazon starts offering you the 2-day shipping, which they don't really do anymore, but they say they do, depending on where it is, I guess. But that's really kind of, and then those reviews, getting those reviews, and then it started just really ticking up. Yeah,
effect. So $5,000 is great. $10,000 was better. Now you're getting into major big box retailers. Yeah. What does the future look like for EZ Shade? Are there maybe other easy products down the line? Is it just focused on the growth of this? Like what's next for you and the company?
So because this it won't break and it won't discolor and it's heat resistant because of the polycarb, we realized that people that have like the flush mount lights, the standard ones, I call them the boob light. That's what they're called. I'm sorry. They're called the boob light, the dreaded boob light. Anyway, if you can't find a replacement for that, or like the one under the ceiling fan, we're taking the same thing, but we're putting a hole in the center and sending it with like two size rods. The screw. And we're including 2 rods in case you're missing that for some reason, and a new cap on the end. So it's a universal replacement for basically 9 to 13 inch flush mount ceiling light boob lights.
And that is the technical term. That's what anybody's starter apartment. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, everybody's got them, and they can. Yeah, you can't. And you can bear. It's hard to find a replacement, but this is a universal one. So the cool thing is because then they stack. So I'm trying to get with like landlords or property rental people and stuff like that. That would be the next step. I've come up with one I'm working with a friend, and we've come up with one for those with Hollywood lights is what they're called, like in the bathroom. So we got a bracket that'll cover those, but that's getting more difficult because now again you get into SKUs, UPC codes. Well, if there's 3 sizes and then there's 2 different shades and then different brackets, I'm 12 different barcodes into that one for 3 products. Yeah. So
That's great. The one thing that I like, and like I said, I've got these. They're covering all the lights in my basement. And we've got the nice fading light bulbs that go up and down underneath, and they look great. But they will not discolor.
Yeah.
They will not break. How do you get people to buy more of them when their house is full of them already?
Oh man, I guess just check out the reviews, check out the photos. So that's the other thing. You don't have. It's not just for the exposed light. And which again you watch and listen to the customer, and people are putting them inside of other fixtures. Mm-hmm. So if you have one coming down over the table, whether it's a drum or if it's the little UFO one, and you still have that bare light that you can see, it fits inside of other fixtures.
Right.
So people are using it for that, for the long ones that go over a couch or different stuff like that. So people are putting them inside just to cover that light, especially as the LEDs and things are getting brighter.
Yeah.
That I think is kind of the future. There's a lot of applications for it, and I hope that people get out there and you would be shocked when you put it up. Just buy one, test it out, and just see the difference for yourself.
It's a big difference.
It really is.
It really
you
is.
wouldn't think so, but as soon as that thing's covered, you're like, damn, why have I been doing this for so long?
Brian, this has been great. You have been through a lot from the napkin to now. What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs that are looking to maybe custom manufacture something or prototype something to just help them out along the way?
So one of the cool things that I've been able to do is I've gone to some of these trade shows and stuff. Don't be afraid of trade shows, but do your research. Don't let them sell you on it. There's a lot of trade shows out there to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna give all these. No, their job is to sell you the booth to get there. Do your research. Talk to people that have been. And make connections there. That'll get you out there and get you exposed to stuff. And then from that, actually, I've been asked to join the United Inventors Association. I'm on their advisory board, so that's a great group to reach out to. And also Modern Inventor. If you Google or any of these moderninventor.com or the United Inventors Association, it's a group of people, and I'm friends with all these people. We've been traveling in this group now, and we have resources. We can hook you up with legit factories. We can hook you up with legit prototype people, help you out with the legal aspect of things, or at least point you in the right direction or get you connected. And it's free because, again, it's that entrepreneur, that inventor community that we're trying to help. We know we've all been screwed down the line, and we're trying to help other people avoid that.
And it keeps a lot of it here, too. It keeps the knowledge base here. It keeps the means of production here and that sort of thing, which is great. Well, Brian, this has been awesome. We are done with the easy part of our interview, and that is a pun intended. We'll be back with the hard part. We're going to put you on the hot seat. The Fast Five is coming up right after this. Stay tuned.
Impresia Bank is unique because we are more than a full-service commercial bank. We are here to be able to recognize the special needs that women have. We are inspired by women, and what this means is that we communicate with women in a different way, we provide education, and we also have found new solutions to enable women to be able to better access capital to grow their businesses.
We're back on Small Business Big Conversations with Brian of EZ Shade, and Brian, we've come to the culmination of this interview, which is our Fast Five. Here's how it's going to work. It's actually 6 questions. You have to answer 5 of them. But if you answer all 6, you do win a prize. No, we have no budget for prizes, but I will give you one of the fancy light bulbs I have in my basement that goes all the way from candlelight up to daylight that you can cover with an EZ Shade somewhere in your place. All right?
I've got 8 in my basement.
All right, here we go. What's something weird you wish you had known before starting your business?
Something weird I wish I had. Barcodes. God, barcodes.
That's going to be the name of this episode, by the way.
Man.
It's just barcodes
It's
with
just
Brian. That's what we're going to do. If you could pick a theme song for EZ Shade, what would it be?
Something by the Doors, Light My Fire.
There you go. All right. I like it. If you could instantly master any hobby outside of business, what would it be?
Ooh, probably martial arts.
Awesome.
I don't know why. Yeah, martial arts.
A specific one? All of them?
Hapkido.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
Jackie Chan did. It seems
Just
fun.
watch the Olympics and just copy everything that they do in judo and taekwondo, I guess. What's your favorite gadget or tool that you use every day?
I've been using my Sawzall a lot lately.
Okay.
I don't know why. But it just comes over.
You
it's
should
so
know
handy.
why you're
It's
using
so
a
handy.
Sawzall,
Yeah.
though. I mean,
It's so handy.
if you find yourself
so many different variations you can use that thing.
if you find yourself using a Sawzall and you don't know why, you should maybe rethink.
Well, maybe it works on this. Maybe it doesn't. That's the fun part.
If you could host a talk show, who would be your first guest and why?
I would have to. Dead or alive.
Anybody. You can,
Jimmy Buffett.
very cool. All right, we got a lot of good music. Themes
Followed by
on this one.
Mike Rowe.
Final one. You're going to answer all 6, so I'm going to have a dark spot in my basement where I have to unscrew that light bulb. So you are in Toledo.
Yes.
Bigger fan of Cleveland sports or Detroit sports, or neither?
What year? Detroit. I gotta go Detroit Lions. I'll root for them, man. It's been rough since Barry Sanders,
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll still run this episode.
I will
even though
root for
that's the
Cleveland when
answer.
they play Steelers, though.
Okay, well that's fair. That's fair. Hey, you've won them all. You've answered them all. You've won the light bulb.
Nice.
Before we go, it's time for plugs. Tell us everywhere people can get EZ Shade. Anything else you got coming up? If there's trade shows or if there's just any opportunities for people to work with you, anything you want to talk about, it's all you.
You can reach out to us anytime. EZ Shade, EZShadeCover.com. You can find us on our website, Amazon. I prefer you to go to Lowe's at this point. Go to Lowe's. Go in store because we're in 500 stores nationwide now. That's the best place to go get them. You can also get them on Lowe's.com, HomeDepot.com, and Walmart.
Awesome. Brian, it's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. My guest today has been Brian Wholehan of EZ Shade. You can visit their website at EZShadeCover.com and follow along on social at EZShadeCover. Thank you to everybody here at VAR Studios for the support behind the scenes. Thank you to everybody at Jumpstart for making this all possible. And of course, thanks to you for tuning in. While you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be notified of short clips and new episodes. Until next time, we'll see you for more Small Business Big Conversations. Take care.